love and gratitude. Thank you. You got a very strong Arcturian energy. So I
Hmm.
see, yeah, immediately I'm seeing Arcturians.
Okay.
Yeah, it does seem that your Arcturian lifetime, you're very like technician wise. You're very specialized with technology, mechanical. I'm also seeing like you're very good at geometry, sacred geometry. You're specialized in that. Like you work in a spaceship in Arcturus, and the
Okay.
Arcturians they love to live inside the spaceship. There's like a
Hmm.
group that particularly they live in spaceships. Some of them live in planets, but you prefer the spaceship.
That
And I,
uh, that kind of confirms my. I had a QHHD session done
mm-hmm.
with Suzanne Spooner. I'm not sure if you know her or
Oh
not.
wow, yeah, I know she's expensive though.
Yeah. Well, she lives like, a town away from me because she's in Iowa. She's like, so yeah. But and the life that came through was on a spaceship, Arcturian spaceship. So
That's
yeah,
great.
that kind of confirms that.
Yeah, it's coming out so strong, and like immediately after the prayer, I see like Arcturian immediately they're showing this image about of them. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like you want to build this civilization in this spaceship. So this spaceship is like a place where many Arcturians and many other alien races they can live there, and they live there for a very long time. And it's not really you mostly used for traveling. It's actually opposite. But
Okay.
I see that it's possible that you travel through this spaceship too.
Hmm.
In fact, actually, I see you going to far distant in the galaxies.
Yes, exploring.
Yep. And
It's
now, for some reason, I'm being shown like a draconian figure. I believe you take place in the galactic wars too, and this was like before the spaceship. This is
okay.
after. It looks like it can be both. It can be before it, also after. Yeah, you were fighting with the spaceship, but it's a different spaceship than the Arcturus spaceship that you were living in.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is more like a starfighter thing from Star Wars. It's very similar. I'm seeing like a lot
Oh,
of space battle going on, like shooting and spaceships going boom.
okay. There's some kind of war or something, or
Yeah, it was during the Galactic War, and it's mostly with the Draconians. Yeah, okay, it makes sense. So I know that the Arcturus was also. I remember channeling that part of their planets attacked and invaded, and a few of them it didn't get destroyed, but their civilization, their cities, and their habitat was destroyed. But the planet is still safe, and it's finished rebuilding and repaired. But I see that the Draconian invaded at some point in the time in Arcturus, and so you decided to take place and fight this war. And it seems that yeah, this spaceship that you were residing in, this was also this became a main commander ship. Yeah, I see that this giant spaceship it became like a teleporter that goes to the battlefield, near the battlefield, not inside. And then like I see like a lot of ships coming out through it, and then yeah, you were part of it.
so I was part of the Draconian fleet or the
No,
Arcturian.
no, the Arcturian fleet, the one
Okay.
that I mentioned from the beginning, the fleet that I mentioned that you're living at. I see that ship going to the battlefield. Like
Oh,
as the
okay.
main commander ship because it's a giant
So,
ship, so it's like a lot of small ships coming out, the starships coming out inside the commander ship.
and we were fighting the Draconians, or
Yeah, you're fighting draconians.
okay, them
And
guys are everywhere, I guess.
yeah, and I do see like after the war has over, which is finished. After it's finished, you went back to Arcturus. You went back to fix the aftermath of some of the
Hmm.
planets, and a lot of the civilization that needed refuge, they started to live inside the ship, inside the
Sure.
commander ship that you guys were building the giant civilization ship. Yeah, you've got a Pleiadian lifetime too. Yep.
Okay.
And I also
sense.
see an Alpha Centaurian connection too. Interesting. So you're the second person that you're the third person with the Alpha Centaurian connection. They're not that common among my clients. Yeah, and this Alpha Centaurian connection is it's like a creature. I see it's pretty huge. His head is an avian head, but his body is huge and big with arms and legs. Like this was not a planet that I've known in Alpha Centauri. This was a different planet with with pretty huge, large creatures in it.
Is this all like still like third dimensional beings or?
So the lifestyle is okay. It's fifth dimension. I'm getting fifth dimension because they live very long lives, a lot longer than humans.
What about the Arcturian? The Arcturian lives.
The Arcturians range from the fifth to the ninth dimension, but I believe that for your case, you're sort of in between. You're in the sixth, seventh dimension, so you're sort of the seventh dimension Arcturian. Mm-hmm. You're building new technology, but also like nurturing the new enlightenment within your soul throughout your Arcturian lifetime. It seems that you have a strong interest in underground too. So I see that in some of your Arcturian lifetime, you were like digging underground of specific when you mentioned planet Aura.
Okay.
Yeah, you are sort of a geologist. So you have that strong geologist trait in you, and that also connects with your exploring trait. So you love to travel to different planets and you like to study the inner structure of the planets.
Yes, I think, and then I saw that when I had that regression session done, because she takes you to different times in your life, and I remember that I was on a life where, I was doing some research or some kind of scientific, research.
For some reason, they are showing me that you're very drawn to the core of the planet because it seems like the element for each planet, that's the inner core, is so different. And you gain so much information by studying the core of each planet in a different level of dimensions. It seems like the core is very, very essential for the planet, and it's like in a higher dimension that I see like a beautiful glowing energy source, like specifically green light, like light green, and it's energizing and nourishing the entire planet and nourishing life throughout the planet. Like the core itself, because usually I picked up information as the moon, the sun that gives life, but it seems the core is also like in a higher dimension. It's providing strong life force energy.
Sure, I guess that's the heart of the planet, right? I mean,
that's the heart of the planet. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I can see that. What about the Lyran connection? Is there a Lyran? Do you see a Lyran connection?
I see that you went to Lyra as an Arcturian to explore like the remains after it was destroyed. A lot of their planets and civilizations were destroyed completely, but after that you went there to it was long after that actually. You went there to, search for the remains and see if there's any life left, which unfortunately you didn't find life in Lyra. It was mostly destroyed, but you were studying the scientific elements of the remains of the planets, and you were trying to restore the core element of the Lyran planets, which they had a very beautifully well-structured energy source because of their 12th dimension and their earliest ancestry origin. They have a lot of that ancient knowledge, and you wanted to go deeper and seek for that ancient knowledge. I do see that you were able to connect with the Lyran Council, the higher self, through So when you were in Lyra, you were like connecting telepathically with the Lyran Council to receive more new information about the planets and studying more about their origin. The way that you see them, they're sort of ancestors. Yeah, but you're definitely exploring a lot of different places. Yeah.
So when did I incarnate here on Earth? I mean, what was the?
I see a strong Atlantis connection. At the same time, you weren't just incarnating as a human life in Atlantis, you were involved with Atlantis as with the Arcturian connection.
Okay.
It's a pretty early Atlantean connection when you were an Arcturian. I see that you were building stargates or repairing stargates too. And this stargate you build is to sort of bridge the gap, bridge the connection between Atlantis and Arcturus.
Okay.
So they can travel through and connect through each. So yeah, you're involved with Atlantis. You're involved with building the stargates and portals. Technology-wise, you were doing building a lot of the benevolent technologies on planet Earth.
Sure.
And however, that was destroyed later on during the Atlantis War. Yeah, I know. I mentioned a lot of wars, but the reason why is most of us we got a lot of connections of those tragedies, and that's also why we are sort of trapped or wounded on this planet Earth. Yeah. I'm curious. I think that afterwards you incarnate as a human to sort of heal from that wound, but also to bring out the light codes, the codes that you brought from Arcturus to. This code helps you reactivate the lost ancient old technologies. I feel like you should travel around just travel to the pyramids, the sacred places, sacred sites, the standing stones, the temples. I feel like there's a lot of reactivation energy going on when you travel there. Yeah, it's like I see like new portals opening up when you are in contact with these places. Yeah, we gain its technological abilities and powers.
That sounds interesting. Sounds like I'm always been involved in some kind of technical. Maybe that's why I like to be in like in electronics right now. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of these technologies has been lost and hidden. So I do feel that when you travel, it's gonna be so beneficial for you.
Sure. Oh, yep. I'm sure those technologies will be, I would say that restarted after, we're done with the Great Awakening. That all these things will be coming back again. So, sure.
Yep. I also feel that there will be a lot of healing done through the contact with these sites, because as you remember some of your old memories, you can easier let go of all the grief, that the sadness of destruction, that what you created was destroyed.
But you know what? From destruction comes new life. Every action has a consequence, but that consequence doesn't always have to be bad. Something else will take its place. Is this going to be my last incarnation on Earth? Because I got a feeling that I'm going to have a choice.
Yeah, you have a choice. Like you always have a choice.
Like stay here or continue my.
I feel like it is going to be the last. I feel like many people, for many souls, particularly Starseeds and my clients as well, I feel like it's going to be their last life. Yeah, because we are kind of at the end game right now.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
Once this end game is over, we will ascend to the fifth dimension, the planet Earth.
I feel like that all this preparation from the beginning here has come to this point in time where we finally ascend.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, my work is done here. Did my job, and move on to the next challenge.
Yeah, I also see you involved with astronaut like activity in your past life.
Mhm.
And okay, it may not make sense in your feed to be on your past life. Maybe it's like more of your parallel life that you are building. Oh wow, is this past or the future? Because the technology looks very advanced and it's on planet Earth, above the planet Earth. That you're building a I don't know what technology this is. Like it's not. It doesn't look like a spaceship. It looks like a satellite, but it's so different than a regular satellite.
More energy, more energetic.
Yeah, more energetic, but more like complicated. The technology that you're building. Yeah, it's advanced. That I don't think it's your past life, but it
More
is
like a
though the thing. Future life, past life, but it's like I don't see it as a time thing, but time-wise, I think that this life you're living is the latest, but that astronaut life, it feels like earlier. But then time doesn't exist in the higher dimension. So
right, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. We live in space time, they live in time space, right?
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be you living two lives, like one life in on this planet Earth as an electrician, and the other life as an astronaut building this technology. Because I'm seeing more like higher dimensional lives, because we all have multi-dimensional self, and I see that your
Sure.
higher
Yeah.
self is also building a mystical technology that's connecting to preparing for 5D Earth. So there's a lot of preparation going on right now, like not
Right.
like in all levels, in all different aspects, because just so that the ascension process can proceed accordingly.
Yeah, I think that's just inevitable.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
it's inevitable. I mean, what we're seeing now is just a theater, the kabuki theater, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, it's just going to happen. I know it is. So right after after that whole session with Suzanne, I started seeing ships flying over my house. Actually started when I had this dream where I was going out to my deck. I looked up. It was cloudy, and the clouds opened up, and this ethereal spaceship was hanging there, and this light came down and kind of twinkled down in my hands. And I looked up and said, "Oh, they know me." That's kind of
hmm
started and then all of a sudden I started spaceships flying over my house. And can you see are they a particular ET race, or are they just a random group, or?
Oh, it's not a random group. I see that it's part of the same team, the Arcturian team with you.
Mhm.
They've worked with you in your past life, and they're working with you as well right now.
And they're just flying by to say hi, or?
Okay, I see it both way. I see it like a messenger, but also a protector. So I see
Okay.
that they are providing you downloads through, telepathically through inside their spaceship. And I also
Okay.
see that they are putting a protective shield or field around your where you're living at by through the spaceship.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's just like a light green, just the aurora green color. I see that this field is.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
why is that interesting, because get the message that I have to work on my heart chakra, so that's interesting.
that's very cool. I do feel that, you know, for guys particularly, they are in, well, actually nowadays it's not just guys, but it's the ability to express as well. I
Mhm.
feel like if you can open up more and express more, it will really greatly heal your heart chakra. I know that's
Mhm.
more involved the throat, but the heart chakra is like the center of all chakras. So
Right.
it connects, like if you work on the other chakras, like physically too, it will help the heart chakra.
Now, I was kind of curious. This just happened a while ago. I was doing a heart chakra meditation and a crown chakra, and all of a sudden the name Amu came into my head. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, where did that come from?
They're saying that it's your higher self guardian, that tuning to when you work during that time when you're working. He looks like Anubis. It's definitely an ancient Egyptian connection for sure. Yeah, he's your spirit guide. He's your guardian. He is also able to store a lot of information for you, and because your human mind is easily overwhelmed, so he is there to help you as well, to store a lot of information, and also when the time is up, he will provide you the downloads through those information that was stored that was meant to be for you.
Interesting, because I saw a couple of days ago, I was browsing and like, hey, there's a show on Anubis. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense now.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah,
I love those coincidences, right?
Yeah.
Synchronicities. So yeah, a lot of times I get like these images. I don't know to say kind of like visions or not, but like recently, it was maybe a month ago or something, and I saw this vision. It was outside in nature in this big cave, and it was like dome shaped. Like an old church entrance, and there was like seating in front of it, but I couldn't kind of make out what was inside the cave.
Yeah, it feels like Hollow Earth. Like it's like underground.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like a different dimension. The Hollow Earth, it's underground, but it's not on the 3D dimension. Yeah, it's on a higher dimension because it's sacred. Yeah, it's very ancient. It looks very mystical, like the pyramids. So it's very connected with Egypt, in a sense, because they look very similar in that structure. But it's like orange. I see a lot of dark orange color, and I see a lot of scripture and sacred codes being written down, and I see guardians too. And again, the guardians they look very similar to Anubis or Horrocks. I see that it's your own space. Yeah, okay, maybe it's not Hollow Earth. It feels like your own dimension.
Okay.
That you can tap into. It's like your own. I would even say Akashic record space.
Okay. Is that the same as the light beings that sometimes I envision?
Yeah, I mean, I do see like orbs, like light orbs, when you were inside and they were surrounding you. But I also see your guardian Amu or Anubis. It's like your own personal dimension. Yeah, and when you mentioned sky, there is also a sky temple as well. Yeah, it feels like I'm tapping into your dimension, your own higher self realm, which I've never done that before, by the way. So it's the first time I astral travel to your dimension. That's
welcome to my reality.
Yeah, you got the underground, you got the sky temple. Yeah, the sky temple is a lot brighter. It's a lot more higher density.
You said sky temple. That makes sense. I think I can envision that.
Yeah, it feels like the lower temple is for deep meditation, but also for shadow work, like for releasing. So this lower temple, you go there to release a lot of the energies that you don't want. And the higher temple is where you go and seek higher knowledge and seek for healing. And I do feel that when you dream, when you sleep, you wander between those two temples depending on what your soul needs.
And then recently, I would like dream, and all of a sudden, it's like black, boom, like it had been shut off instantly. I'm not sure if you have ever had that when you dream, where it's just been shut off, like all of a sudden it's turning black and you wake up. It's like, the hell? And it's always like there's a sound involved, like boom.
For some reason, your guardians have shut down the dream or shut down the process.
Well, tell them to kind of slow it down. It's like an instant boom and dark, and it's like, man.
Yeah, they said that maybe that's because you're sort of doing something or working on something, looking through something that you're not ready to see or do yet Yeah, when
Okay.
you are in the astral dreaming realm, because when
Okay.
you dream, you're in a other consciousness, and you are searching to places that,
It's like no trespass.
yeah, yeah, it feels like that. For some reason, it feels like they're sort of quite a few knowledge that you're not ready to receive yet. But as time goes,
Okay.
you will be. I do see cases where guides can take, where guardians. I call them guardians. I don't really want to call them guides. They're literally like,
Sure.
affecting your life in a more higher level. They're not just normal guides. Yeah, I do see them like caretakers too, in a way, because of the guardian aspect, to make sure that you don't go overboard with what you're doing.
Too much information. It's like, not ready yet.
Yeah.
Like that would be. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's just the way they do it. It's like, okay, you guys maybe just like ease into it and say, okay, here, instead of like, boom, shut off. But
No, I understand, but when you're dreaming it, when you're in this other consciousness, you were more
Yeah.
like dedicated. You're very dedicated.
I'm not sure if you had this experience where I was dreaming and I was actually pulled back into my body. Like I was, how you've been like a rope on your back and you kind of pull back right into your body and you feel that sensation. So you wake up and you actually feel your whole entire body as a second meat. I'm not sure if you ever had that. Ever had that
Yeah,
experience? Where
I had that. Yeah, and
it's so weird because you're just like, oh man, my body feels like it feels heavy. Like,
it
wow.
makes heavy. Well, I don't know about the heavy part, but I know that it feels so sudden and it's very shocking. I would say it's a very shocking feeling, like a shock to your system.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and when you mentioned that, now it sort of makes sense because, like, I did mention that the shadow work is very involved in the lower, the underground temple that I pointed out, and you were sort of opening the Pandora's box of your past life, of something, of the shadow. There's a box and there's a lot of shadow there, and you were curious to open it, and they were like, no, they shut it down immediately. Like,
it's like not ready for that.
Yeah, they're not. It's not ready, but it's also very overwhelming information. I'm not sure what that box is. I do feel like it's so related with with the shadow work, with the shadows of your past lives. So shadow memories of your past lives.
Here on Earth or just throughout?
Throughout. They were so faint again. You do have a live connection. There was a few lives, very little. Like most of your lives were in Arcturus. He looks like a leopard humanoid. Yeah, you got that live connection there.
I think maybe that's what's the traumatic part of it. That something happened during the Lyran War that's so traumatic that that's caused a shadow.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to tap into. Yeah, maybe I'm trying to tap into. It's like, oh no, you're not ready to see that yet.
Yeah, it's so faint.
It's okay.
I see the very faint side of your lifetime, and I do think that as time goes on, you will remember this lifetime clearly, and you will have a stronger activation. But at the same time, I do see that you're connected with the destruction of Lyra, but not in the physical sense, but more in the energetical sense. Like after this destruction, it affected the entire galaxy.
Sure.
And for some reason, that destruction, you were so connected to it. You were so affected by it energetically. Like the balance was so off that it just feels so wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's similar to Maldek. You ever heard of that planet?
I heard of
over there by Mars. So all these souls that were there, they were like, before they even started back into the reincarnation cycle, they were just put on hold. Let's put it that way, because of such of a, like I said, an energetic catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I think that's similar with the Lyran, where entire planets were destroyed. That just leaves such an energetic catastrophe and such a impact, like putting
Yeah.
igniting atomic bombs here on Earth. It's just not. It's not in this dimension. It ripples into the other dimensions.
Yeah, and now it makes sense. It's linked it to the trauma with technology. So I feel like your shadow is the negative side of technology, and also you have your subconscious is a little. You have a little obsession of dying planets that were destroyed, like the ruins. For some reason, you're very drawn to the ruins of the aftermath of a scene. It's like I see you, that Arcturus lifetime when you were traveling to the Lyrans. For some reason, you're a little bit obsessed with the aftermath of the decays, the decays, the debris of the planets.
Well, I guess no doubt another challenge that probably has to go through. I mean, it's not always sunshine during all your lives. I mean, there's good and bad. So
yeah,
it's all part of the growth, huh? So
yeah, it's all about accepting and letting go, and embracing the technology's side of you without letting all these dark thoughts that the negative side of the technology take over your subconscious mind or your physical mind.
Yeah. And what about you? When did you start getting into? Was there a certain point that changed your whole view on on what we're doing here, or a trigger, or you always had?
It's this year. This year was very dramatic for me.
Things started moving really fast for you.
Yeah, things. Yeah, a lot of awakening, a lot of information. Sure. Yeah, a lot of people that I meet. Yeah, it's like not an information I would have expected, and I certainly understand where your guardians are coming from for the revealing the new information, because it's very overwhelming at first when you receive these information. Depending on how you take it.
Yeah. But well, it's and it starts with, I never realized, but all those synchronicities, when you look at the clock, it's 11:11 or 4:44.
Yeah.
Actually, I was seeing that way before I became aware. And then afterwards, like, wow, I've been seeing this a lot longer than I thought. Just first, I was thought you didn't think about it, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, let's dive in it more deeper. It's like, why am I seeing all these numbers? And then it's like, oh, okay. And it's kind of slowly, because I see a lot of times I see 12:34. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, small steps, That's okay. That makes.
You got a lot of Egyptian connection, like your guardian. I'm seeing both. I'm seeing Horrocks, by the way. Both.
You see
both is Horrocks and both.
Okay.
Yeah, Thoth seems to come out a lot, and he is a blue avian being with golden yellow armor and darker body. So Thoth is very powerful for you, and I do feel like you should connect with Thoth as well.
Okay.
And
he's like the Egyptian knowledge, right?
Yeah, he's the Egyptian knowledge, and that's why you're very connected with him. It's weird to say this, but I think you both work together with the technologies in your past life. I believe that's the case. Like, that's what he's telling me. Like, you work together in your past lives.
Interesting.
Yeah, in the Egyptian lifetime, but it's also like the Atlantis lifetime too, because the Egyptians were very connected with Atlantis and the Lemuria as well.
Lemuria, okay,
yeah, the pyramids.
Yeah, because somebody else saw that I have a Lemurian. Lemurian.
Yeah.
So would you say that because I am so technology driven, that maybe part of the shadow is also that the technology was misused and there's some kind of there?
Yeah. I do feel like that's the case, but I do feel like you're also absorbing the guilt that is not from you because you didn't do anything wrong. At least from what I've seen, you didn't. You don't have past life that were
The intentions
involved.
were good.
Yeah, the intentions were good. So that's the thing. You may have slipped off in terms of, but that was like manipulation by the negative forces.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just like how the atomic bomb was built by. I don't really know the details, but it feels like there's a scientist that built the atomic bomb, but they didn't have the intentions were like pure, and they didn't know what was gonna be used for.
Right. Well,
I know it's a bad example, and then the negative agenda, the negative guys were like using it for something bad, and
right.
users felt guilt for that.
I mean, atomic energy, you can use it for energy, but
yeah,
they saw like, oh, we can also make a bomb out of it. And then
I do feel like got affected by that.